I became popular in StarCraft episode 101 to 110. Thank you for everyone who pressed like and follow. It's an encouragement for each other. I apologize for the translation. You can donate at Kasi Corn Bank 025-352-0310. Then let's start. Episode 101 Third Continent. Zhang Erwin hesitated to speak. But it might be too early for us to say this. It's okay, Erwin. Tell me. Chu Yao put his hand on his chin and listened quietly like a well-mannered primary school child. Students. Sister Chu, you should have seen the latest news, right? The star train between Bajia and Ling Yuanying is in the trial run. It may be officially opened in the next few years. And the starting point of Ling Yuanying is located in the third continent. Chu Yao felt a little guilty, but nodded seriously. She didn't read the news much. She didn't even know what the star train Zhang Erwin was talking about, but she had heard of it many times. What is a star rail? Yao Han, who had been silent for a long time, solved Chu Yao's urgent need. Okay, little Yao Shi, that's a good question. Well, I don't really know much about the technicalities. You can use it as a train, but it connects planets instead of cities. With this train, you can travel between major planets in Kukai in a short period of time. The development of Ling Yuan star is still lagging, which may be related to the delay in the implementation of the Star Rail Train project. After it goes into operation, no matter which continent, it will develop by leaps and bounds. Chu Yao's eyes lit up. This is good. In addition to spaceships, her shopping list now also includes a star rail. Bossing Star is the most developed planet in Kukai. When our strength improves, we may choose to open our own company for Bossing Star. Zhang Erwin chose the topic now. But it's too far away. And what is Bossing Star? I don't know what it is. In that case, our future new home will be the third continent. Do you have any objections? Chairman said, and naturally, everyone present did not object. Many people began to search for information. In the third continent with their mobile phones, such as Chen Qingyu, and everyone is looking forward to it. Okay, let's proceed with the plan we just talked about. Having a goal is good, but you have to be firm and steady. Whether it's developing a company or transferring industries, don't be in a hurry. Chu Yao, Qingyu, and Xiaoran, you two are here. Everyone in the gang rushed to their battlefield full of energy. Soon, only 3 people were left in the large conference room. Sister Chu, do you have any orders? Gong Xiaoran asked. How is your cultivation of the spirit cultivation art? There are some signs, but it's not very good. Gong Xiaoran said so, and Chen Qingye smiled meaningfully. Compared to his brother, his talent was not good. Before he was captured by the Yalai Company's spaceship, he only had a Jindankai cultivation level, otherwise he wouldn't be the head of the Tianyin sect. Alright, let's practice first. There are 2 things I need to tell you. The first is that our company is on the right track, and many things that we couldn't do before can also be put on the agenda. The first continent, there must be a lot of disciples from our sect living outside. If possible, we should bring them back to Qingyu. Leave this matter to you and count as many as you can find. That's not a problem. Chen Qingyu. With a warm heart, this elder Chu still hasn't forgotten everyone in the Tianyin sect. The second is that my current cultivation is still in the qi refining stage, so I will retreat. Understood. How long will Sister Chu retreat? Gong Xiaoran nodded. A year. During this time, I will contact her, but in the gang. She will be responsible for some of the regular matters in the company. When the company grows to a certain level, it will be gradually transferred. To the third continent, you don't have to wait for me to talk to Qingyu about this. The surname Shen who came to Princess yet earlier, Shen Yu, do you still remember? I'll send you a flying letter later, in case there's anything difficult to solve. If you have any questions, ask him, but be careful when you speak. This kid is very rich. Okay, I'll remember it. Anything else? Chu Yao thought about it seriously and then spoke briefly. He told the 2 of them about the information he had received from Shen Yu earlier, including the development and research of spiritual energy by heaven and man, as well as the existence of the Bloody Alliance, etc., to warn them. A level 5 spiritual person, that is, there really is a cultivator in the divine transformation realm. This news, it was like a heavy bomb, and the two of them couldn't keep their mouths shut for long. Don't be happy yet, this is just my guess. Chu Yao stroked her head. Then Chen Yu has always hidden his words, and the truth is still open to doubt. Chen Qingye sighed deeply. If this is the case, if the information is true, even Huashan's cultivators can't escape the claws of the heavenly and human technology. We are still far away. Then let's take it step by step. Chu Yao clapped both hands on her shoulders and went out to face His Majesty in the room. This matter has been fully explained. She planned to pack her things and go to the Baishan mine to escape. Sigh, it's too troublesome to sneak around every time. I wish I knew that the mine would be contracted. Tianhai City, a private hospital. Lu Yun, who was seriously injured, was leaning against the headboard, talking to someone on her mobile phone. If you can't decide on that document, then let it go. The demolition of the Wuhuan fundraising building? Hasn't it been resolved yet? Is there any problem? It took a little time. And the important task of playing Fatty Zhou fell on her son Zhaoli. Alright, you can watch it yourself, mother is tired. Lu Yun tried her best to help her son with various official duties, then hung up the phone. She was the only one in this private ward. Lu Yun sighed as she looked at the various tools and bottles hanging beside her. No one came to visit, no one went with her, and the only people who often chatted were the nurses and doctors who were taking care of them. To be honest, it was not easy for her to make a name for herself in this heavenly society. Although these tricks were not very glorious. But in the blink of an eye, she swallowed this sigh and turned into a stomach full of resentment and jealousy. His body was smashed by the gun into this state. Thanks to that Chu Yao. If it weren't for this woman, how could I have ended up like this? This cursed Tianyin sect's elder Gaixian didn't bully my son enough, now he's bullying me again. While she was in the hospital, she had learned about the latest situation of the Mao Yi gang in the dark street through some channels. When she thought of herself eating lunch in this hospital, and that woman had such a great scene in the dark street, she hated her teeth so much. Lu Yun, how is she worse than Chu Yao? What did she get? Why can't she accept it herself? My methods in the Yalai company are still too gentle. Lu Yun secretly decided that after she was discharged from the hospital, she must make more profit for the company. If it really doesn't work, just grab the money and run away. At worst, put all the blame on Chu Yao, and kill two birds with one stone. She was still thinking about this when she heard the other door being pushed open. Dr. Li, why did you come so early today? Lu Yun turned around, but saw a strange figure. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 102 Preparations. The visitor was wearing a sports suit, but his face was covered by a mask and a wire hat. So he couldn't see his appearance, but Lu Yun knew who this person was from his bulging right arm. Who are you? Lu Yun's eyes turned cold, and his right hand under the quilt was secretly wary. Look carefully, I'm not the person you're looking for. The person didn't speak, but took off the quilt. His face revealed a face full of tattoos. It was Huang Long. Who are you? Lu Yun immediately remembered who this person was. On the Yalai company's spaceship that day, this person had left a deep impression on her. This man was a maniac murderer. Lu Yun got up carefully, ready to run away. It was true that she was recuperating, but there were still many methods available. I don't want to fight. Huang Long found a chair and sat down without explaining. Lu Yun looked at him sitting on the chair, still not letting go of her guard. Then what are you doing here? Huang Long was silent for a long time, not knowing whether he was using words or thinking. How did you recover your cultivation? Lu Yun. Shocked, she didn't expect Huang Long to be so straightforward. Could it be that he was a clumsy person who wasn't good at communicating? Huang Daiyu is really so straightforward, could it be that if you ask me, I can't answer? Lu Yun's face was full of sarcasm. Huang Long did not speak, but suddenly raised his right hand, rolled up his sleeve, and revealed the iron arm under his clothes. Before he could speak, Lu Yun was shocked and jumped out of bed and went to the window in an instant, almost jumping out. What do you want? She forced herself to calm down. This Huanglong was as silent as a madman. It was very difficult to communicate with him. If you don't say anything, kill me. The initiative is in my hands. Lu Yun took a deep breath. She also had a way to deal with this kind of person. Fellow Daoist Huanglong, why are you so impatient? The little girl didn't say no. Lu Yun changed her posture, and her voice was charming. That was a big mistake. Maybe I couldn't beat you, but if I jumped out of the window now, you might not be able to catch up with me. Huanglong shook his mechanical arm, as if weighing the strength of the opponent. We are all poor people from Feng Yuan. It was fate that we met here. Why do we have to use swords and guns to harm our friendship? What about the agreement between you and me? Lu Yun dared to dare. He was slightly shocked. Close to Huanglong. What agreement? Huanglong still looked like an old god and was not shaken by Lu Yun's flattery. You want a way for me to restore my cultivation, and I want the power behind you. The best of both worlds. Why not do it? Power. Huanglong shook his head. You don't know the power. I am mine. I am not a great power. Fellow Daoist Huang, don't be so quick to deny it. Don't look at me now. I still have many contacts in the Yalai company. Fellow Daoist Huanglong has ambitions from all directions. Therefore, naturally, he will not be subservient to others for long. Now that you don't have much strength left, what about in 1, 2, or 10 years? On planet Ling. Yuan, the girl can still help you. When Brother Huang recovers, what will happen to those foolish celestial beings? Can you follow Brother Huang? Huanglong still did not speak with a cold face. There is no enmity between us, peace will benefit both, and action will hurt both. I hope Brother Huang can think clearly about this matter. Lu Yun spoke softly and persuasively. If you think I'm going too far, we can make a deal right away to gain mutual trust. Lu Yun changed the subject. I'll tell you the truth, Brother Huang, I restored my cultivation with the skills passed down from my family, but this exercise book is divided into 3 volumes, the upper volume, the middle volume, and the lower volume. The 3 volumes are complementary and indispensable. As long as Brother Huang gives me a little, excuse me. I'll give the first volume to Brother Huang. How about it? Huanglong thought for a while. After a while, I finally made up my mind. What happened? Tell me. Help me kill someone. Chu Yao. After handling everything in the gang, she rushed to the Baishan mine lightly. Before leaving, she specially went to visit the medicine factory. When she saw that the development of those formulas was going well, she stopped worrying and handed over all the follow-up tasks to others. Although she didn't hold anything in her hand, her storage bag was full. In addition to the guns and bullets taken out from the Mao Yi gang's storage, there was also the alchemy furnace she used for alchemy and a set of materials. Although the previous attempt failed, I have to try again. What if the feng shui in Tianhai City is not good? If she can refine some alchemy pills that are similar to alchemy pills, it will be of great help to her recovery. In addition to these, there were some miscellaneous items, such as a change of clothes, such as glow sticks, and treasure charging boxes. The smartphones produced by Tianren Technology are good for everything, but their energy consumption is too fast and they need to be charged every day, which bothers Chu Yao. She also tried to charge her mobile phone directly in her room by lightning, but the result was that she couldn't control the energy and turned the phone into a bomb. In the dark mine, Chu Yao turned into a black shadow and walked into the depths. Speaking of which, this was her 3rd time here, and everything was familiar. The smell of blood is so strong. Isn't the blood from the spider corpse you killed last time still gone? She walked through the hall where she fought the spider again, and stuck her tongue out when she saw the mess on the floor. Just as she wanted to walk deeper, a light suddenly flashed through her mind, and she noticed that something was wrong. Chu Yao turned around and started counting the dead spiders on the ground. 1, 2, 3, 16, 17. After counting them all, Chu Yao's face turned ugly. She clearly remembered that she had killed at least 30 spiders, including the 31 large spiders. At that time, in order to escape from trouble, she used a dangerous move, and finally destroyed them with an explosion. But even though these spiders could not withstand fire, their skin and flesh were still very hard. Even if they were burned into spider form, they could still be counted from their corpses. She was very worried about the number of spider legs. Obviously. Where did the remaining 13 spider corpses go? Has anyone been here before? Chu Yao took out a lightsaber from her storage bag, held it for a while, and slowly explored the depths. She soon arrived at the location where she had fought the giant spider before, but the corpse had changed. The giant spider's body was more than half gone, judging from the teeth marks left on its flesh. What must have bitten it? Tisk, I was taken aback. It seems like it wasn't cleaned last time? As if in response to what Chu Yao was saying, a knock sound came from the depths of the cave. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 103 Secret. Chu Yao poured spiritual power into her eyes, and everything in the cave became clear in an instant. In front of her, the spider monsters she had seen before appeared again. They looked the same, with red eyes on their heads and a toothy grin. That's right, it wasn't cleaned, but their nest was set on fire by me. Where did these little spiders come from? I was in seclusion a month ago, and these people didn't see any movement, but now they're out? Chu's rumors were puzzling. It seemed that before I retreated, I had to clean this cave thoroughly. There weren't many red dots in front of him, so Chu Yao took a closer look and found that there were only 5 little spiders in this group, so there was nothing to be afraid of. She thought about it, and decided not to use the spiritual power in her body, but patted her storage bag, and a light machine gun appeared in her hand. This was something she snatched from Ding Nan's subordinates that day. Tianren technology, kid. Chu Yao showed an evil smile on her face. She had wanted to experience it for a long time. That's right, it was a personal experience, and I didn't want to shoot for fun. Speaking of this, the gun was almost stuck to her body, but she held it firmly. She didn't look for any position and placed the gun stock directly on her waist, clamped the gun stock with her arm inside, held the handguard tightly with one hand, and pulled the trigger with the other hand, aiming at the spiders in front of her and shooting fiercely. Dash. Heavy gunfire echoed in the narrow cave, along with flames. The bullets from the light machine gun shot those spiders fiercely. Although their armor was very hard, it was still no match for the bullets. The 5 spiders were shot by Chu Yao and fell into a pool of their own blood. Heck cool! Chu Yao took out a bottle of Coke from her storage bag and took a few sips, then walked forward with the gun in one hand. It seems that the missing spider remains have become food for this group of men. But I have already carefully searched before, how could these fish sneak in? Chu Yao began to examine the cave more carefully, stroking and measuring the stone walls inch by inch, not leaving any cracks and stones, and there might be a nest of these spiders somewhere. But after searching for a long time, she found nothing, and she arrived at the stone hall where the spider's nest was originally. Chu Yao used the levitation technique to touch all the stalactites above the stone hall, but there was no progress. Could it be? She remembered that large formation? Shouldn't it be? Chu Yao groped the stone wall and finally found the illusionary entrance. After entering the door, she was once again shocked by the scene in front of her. She still remembered that when she examined this large formation before, there was a faint white crack, and now the crack was slightly larger. From the crack, a green jelly-like liquid that looked like oil seeped out. And the posture looked very awkward. The vicinity of the thick liquid was covered in white spider webs at the moment, and 7 or 8 spider eggs wrapped in white silk were wriggling on the spider webs, as if they would break out of their shells at any moment. Chu Yao just looked at the green liquid, and her body trembled due to inexplicable pressure. There was an astonishing devilish power in the green liquid, which surpassed even nascent soul cultivators. Although he was not proficient in Chu Yao's formation, he still understood what it was used for. This was a sealing array. And what it sealed was definitely a rare monster. Chu Yao tried not to look directly at the green liquid, and carefully burned the spider eggs with the fire-repelling technique. This was too evil. In other words, the previous bones might be the guardians of this sealed formation. Letting a chi-refining monk guard such a large formation, what was this ancient monk thinking? Chu Yao slowly retreated, she wanted to run a bit. Cultivating with this, if one day the formation collapses, my life will be gone. But she did not reconcile. She finally found such a geographic treasure land, and she still needed at least a year to break through the Foundation establishment, wasn't it just a waste of previous efforts? It's a pity that her elder sister isn't here. If she was there, there must be a way to make up for it. Elder sister, where are you? I miss you so much. Chu Yao moved a large pile of rocks to block the illusionary door while thinking about her elder sister. This wasn't over yet. She still had the last missing trace formation disc her elder sister had left behind, which she placed at the door. She also placed all the weapons she could use close at hand to avoid any accidents. Miao asks for wealth and insurance, fight. Chu Yao sat down on the ground with bombs and guns and began to practice. This is an ancient sealing formation. On Lingyuan Xing, a continent in a deep valley, two women stood at the front of a large formation and looked at it. One was tall, the other was short. The female leader was wearing a normal dress with white hair flying. She was the eldest sister, Chu Yao, who she hadn't seen in half a year. Look at Bai Yu. That's it, no wonder the spiritual energy on this Lingyuan star is so dry. Teacher, what are you talking about? Beside Bai Yuejian, Lu Xiao, who had followed her to practice outside, half a year later, she seemed to have grown much taller, and was no longer as thin as before. Under Bai Yuejian's careful teaching, Lu Xiao's personality was no longer as gloomy as before, and finally had the vitality and aura of her age. If I remember correctly, this is a large seal formation that is at least 1,000 years old. Bai Yuejian looked at the large formation in front of her, and pointed her finger in the air. It's not just a seal, but also a combination of soul gathering and concealment. Soul gathering? Soul gathering formation. I know about it. Teacher taught me before. Lu Xiao jumped over the large rock and replied, it used to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to help monks practice. Teacher, you said that there is a method to gather souls in this large formation, that is, to draw the spiritual energy of heaven and earth closer. It really is, and this soul gathering formation is no small matter. It has been going on for thousands of years, continuously consuming spiritual energy, and almost absorbing all the spiritual energy here. Due to the lack of spiritual energy, the concealment has no effect, it is simply exposed. Bai Yujian was lost in thought. No wonder, this makes sense. I thought that the heavenly path on Lingyuan planet was different, but it seems that this is not the case at all. Master, is this formation very dangerous? Seeing Bai Yu's brow furrowing, Lu Xiao also felt nervous. It is more dangerous. Bai Yujian slowly said. I took you out to find a sacred land with abundant aura for you to cultivate, but we have almost crossed the entire first continent in the past 6 months, but we have never seen it anywhere. It is unbelievable in my hometown, Fengyuan. Master, could it be that, the reason why there is no spiritual energy on Lingyuan planet is because it was created by this large formation? But it's just one place. No, we didn't find it. Xiao Ye, think about it. If there are hundreds or thousands of such large-scale formations. Lu Xiaoye imagined it and her face instantly changed, turning pale. But there is no spiritual power on Lingyuan star, then what will happen next? Lu Xiao's voice became smaller and smaller, and she had already imagined what would happen. Master had just said that this was a sealing formation, if the seal failed, what was hidden behind the formation? She had never thought that the world she lived in would be so dangerous. Then what exactly is it sealing? I don't know. Bai Yuejian shook her head. The only thing I know is that this thing won't last long. The aura of heaven and earth on Lingyuan star has run out. If this formation doesn't increase, in just 2 years, it may be completely useless. It's a pity that I don't have a magic weapon, otherwise, I could make up for it. Ah? Then what should we do? Lu Xiao was stunned. Lingyuan star can't stay. It's not too late. Let's go back first. Before leaving, Bai Yuejian took one last look at the magic circle floating in midair. There was something she didn't mention to Lu Xiao. She had seen this huge formation before. But it wasn't in the spiritual source. But in the secret place on Fengyuan star. She looked up at the blue sky, wondering what she was thinking. After the flying saucer seized all the sects, I became popular in the interstellar world. Xingai Changjao/Yuanying Elder breaks into the Xingai battle of the sky and the sea after the end of the mobile phone users. Please go to WAP.org to read. and it is more convenient to read on the palm of your hand. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 104 Journey. The white fluffy clouds formed a soft white wave in the clear blue sky, and the endless sea shone with sparkling sparkles and spread out into the distance with the blue sky. At the corner where the water and the sky met, a large cruise ship more than 10 meters high sailed through the waves, taking tourists to their designated destinations. On the deck of the cruise ship, a young girl was lying lazily on a canvas chair, and the sea breeze blew her summer clothes coolly. She sipped a drink with ice from a small table under the umbrella. A satisfied smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Another boring day. Friends, let's go out for a smoke. Darling, our itinerary finally came true. Mom, when will we arrive? The chatter and conversations of countless people rushed into her ears. They were all passengers on the ship. Then, she gathered her thoughts and her ears became pure again. The girl who was drinking and blowing the sea air on the canvas chair was Chu Yao. The reason why she could hear everyone's conversation on the ship was because she had regained her senses. After running away for a year, her cultivation was at the middle stage of foundation establishment. This speed was already very fast. Originally, Chu Yao wanted to stay underground in Baishan mine for a while longer. Cave. Forced is the essence. She was so panicked that she blocked several layers of the number 1 mine and quickly escaped. The cave was a rare geomantic treasure for her, but she could find more treasures. But she only had one life. For her own safety, she could only escape first. No matter what was sealed in the main formation, I will let Yai Company have a headache. Sister, I will run first. In this year, Mao Yai Company has been developing rapidly. In addition to everyone's efforts, Chu's pharmaceuticals also contributed greatly. Chu Yao still underestimated the curative effect of her formula. With the continuous development and expansion of Chu's pharmaceutical, the profits obtained were more than all the shops in the dark street. With Chu Yao's consent, Chu's pharmaceutical became Mao Yai Pharmaceutical. The pharmaceutical factories spread throughout the cities of the first continent, becoming the company's golden lettering, and making a name for itself in Ling Yuan Star. Currently, Mao Yai Company has a profit of tens of millions of yuan per month. Although a large amount of the money earned was invested in the company's operations, Chu Yao has now become a slightly wealthy woman with a net worth of tens of millions. At the same time, the transfer of the company to the third continent continued. A whole year, a new Ye princess opened in the third continent's Zindu, and everyone went to their new homes one by one. The end of the cruise under Chu Yao's feet was the third continent's Sunset Bay. Because of the previous retreat, she was the last to pass. The Lai Yunnan gang was still hiding in the dark street. They are no longer important. The current cattail company has passed the initial stage of wild accumulation and officially started a new journey. Old Qian, have you finished moving the boxes? The chief friend has something to ask you to come in. Understood. Not far from the deck, several sailors were busy. Their skin was darkened by the wind and sun for many years, and they all looked strong and sturdy. A sailor named Lao Qian greeted his comrades, hurried to the cabin, and walked past Chu Yao who was lying on a chair. The oblique scars on his face were particularly obvious, and there was also a small scar that looked like a crack on his neck. Chu Yao recognized him. He was Qian Hu. When they were in the Baishan mine, they had a brief cooperation and finally drove away together. Chu Yao thought that he had been killed by a helicopter missile long ago, but he did not expect to meet him on this ship. Qian Hu did not recognize Chu Yao, because Chu Yao was wearing sunglasses on his face now, and he still maintained the youthful appearance of Chu Xiao. However, even though he recognized him, but Chu Yao didn't intend to greet him. Although the two had worked together before, they met by chance, and they weren't very familiar with each other. It was enough to know that this person had a life and a job to support himself. The cruise ship had been sailing on the sea for a week and was about to arrive at the station. Chu Yao looked ahead along the endless sea, and a shallow black line gradually appeared in her field of vision. This black line was like a spear from outside the sky, diagonally penetrating the territory of the third continent. As the cruise ship sailed, the shape of the spear became clearer, and more people came to the deck, admiring and taking pictures. Is that the Star Trail pipeline? I heard it's more than 1,000 kilometers away. Of course, it's right to come by ship. If you take a plane, you can't take such clear pictures. Mom! What is that? What is it? Is it a cannon? Chu Yao looked at the star trail pipeline that was getting closer and closer to her, and she felt the great power of Tianren technology in her heart. Before coming here, she had learned about the star rail through the internet. The full name of this huge passage across the land and ocean is Maglev Vacuum Interstellar Rail, and its core technology lies in magnetic acceleration and vacuum pipeline. The interstellar pipeline starts from sea level, and generates energy through the sequential propulsion of magnetic force, just like a gun barrel over 1,000 kilometers long, pushing the interstellar railway into space like a cannon shot. The pillars of this interstellar pipeline are inserted into the seabed one by one, and the cruise ship slowly passes under it as if crossing a bridge across the sea. The passengers feel a moment of tranquility, and the dark gas pipeline is like a sword opening the sky, dividing the sky into two, and covering the cruise ship with shadows. Only in this closest place can see the thickness and size of the pipe. The ship passed by quickly, and many people were still dissatisfied, and ran to the stern to continue admiring this artificial miracle. The melodious siren sounded, signaling the approaching station. Chu Yao put on the white shirt she was supporting behind her, drank the drink in the cup, stood up and stretched. Her graceful figure attracted the attention of the people around her. The giant tower cranes and cruise ships parked by the sea in Sunset Bay, as well as the land and buildings of the third continent, appeared not far away. The sailors on the ship started to get busy again, and the passengers were preparing to get off the ship, with excited or tired looks on their faces. Chu Yao picked up her mobile phone, found Su Binger's pig profile picture, and sent a message. I just passed the star tracking pipe, and it should arrive soon. Got it. Sister Chu, wait at the entrance of the station after getting off the station. Chu Yao Yutai put down her mobile phone and followed the crowd to the boarding and disembarking point. The air in the port was particularly salty and humid, but she didn't like it. She took a deep breath of the foreign air, and puffed out her chest against the foam and waves. Third continent, I'm here. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 105 Sun Zhao. Sister Chu, this way. Su Binger stepped on a pair of small leather shoes, her sea blue long skirt and cardigan were perfectly matched, and Chu Yao quickly saw her in the crowd. Hey, Sister Chu, don't you have a suitcase? Chu Yao pointed at her hair and tied a small bag embroidered with yin-yang fish on the back of her head. She used the red string on the storage bag as a hairband. Su Binger understood and walked to the parking lot with Chu Yao. Just you, right? Where's your brother Yao? Chu Yao asked with a smile. Hey, brother Chu, don't joke around. I haven't written my horoscope yet. Brother Yao and the others are both busy. I can't escape, so I had to come. Chu Yao walked out of the crowd with Su Binger and looked at the Sunset Bay. Customs. She discovered something special a long time ago. Between the tall buildings in the distance, there were several white streets surrounding them, winding through the air of the city like ribbons. The streets made up of those ribbons were not laid flat, but two vertical lines out of thin air, framing the roads in the air. Many vehicles were flying between the ribbons like airplanes and flying around freely. She had never seen this in Tianhai City. What is it? Chu Yao asked curiously. Hehe, I was also shocked when I first came here. Sister Chu, it's called the Flying Rail, and it's a road specially reserved for fast cars, just like the elevated roads in Tianhai City. Su Binger turned her finger. I'll take you to experience it for yourself. You can buy flying cars? Is it expensive? Although Chu Yao was a wealthy woman with a fortune worth tens of millions, she still maintained her former frugal nature, asking where to go first, asking the price. Various models, if they're cheap, you can buy them for tens of thousands of yuan, and hundreds of thousands of dollars, Su Binger happily suggested, but her words were interrupted by a shout from behind. Get lost, you have no eyes. The two of them frowned and looked behind, only to see a young man with dyed blonde hair rushing out from the crowd surrounded by several bodyguards. This person seemed to be one of the members who had just gotten off the ship, and led a group of bodyguards to forcefully break through the dense crowd at the exit. And no one dared to stop him nearby. What was even more eye-catching was that his hands were still holding two chains, and at the other end of the chain, 2 disheveled and dirty women were dragged and crawled behind him, with obvious scars still visible. Who is this man? Why is he crazy? Hush, hush. He is the son of Shenxi Group, do you want to die? Shenxi Group? That real estate company? No wonder he is Sun Yu, Sun Tenglong's son. It is said that Xinggui's investment is also part of Shenxi Group, this person cannot be offended. The whispers of people passing by, Chu Yao's ears made her know this person's identity. Seeing Sun Yu's sullen face, Chu Yao's face turned cold. How disappointing! Although they had advanced and powerful technology, they still maintained a backward slave system. Heaven and man were really at odds. Although the 2 women were pitiful, Chu Yao did not want to intervene when she encountered such a matter. Since the Shenxi Group was strong, there was no need for her, who had just arrived, to suffer this friend's misfortune. Chu Yao pulled Su Binger out of the way, but as the group of people passed by, Chu Yao stiffened. What's wrong, Sister Chu? Su Binger saw Chu Yao's expression. The woman in chains. Although her face was covered with messy hair, Chu Yao's sharp eyes could still see the familiar feeling from her profile. With his thoughts, his consciousness moved around the group of people, and finally, Chu Yao clearly saw the face of a woman. That was the same sect as the Tianyan sect, and not an ordinary sect. Chu Yao recognized her. Chu Yao immediately sent a message to Su Binger. The person on the ground is your sister. What? Sister? Gu Yu? Gu, sister. Su Binger's eyes widened in shock and anxiety, looking at her face, not because of Chu Yao's pull, she had already rushed to Sun Yu. Don't worry, try not to make the other party angry, ask the Sun family if you can buy them with an offer, the price is negotiable. Chu Yao kept his usual calm. And there was no need to use force to solve everything. Shenxi Group had a market value of more than 100 million, which it's not something the current Mao Yi company can mess with. Okay, I understand. Su Binger quickly stepped forward, and Chu Yao followed slowly, observing the situation. Ah, who are you? You want to buy my pet dog? Hearing Su Binger's intentions, Sun Yu's face showed disdain, and his nose almost pointed to the sky. Want to buy? Okay, 100 million. You can pay, you little brat. How can there be so much? You're stupid. Su Binger was a little anxious, and after hearing the other party's sister's name, she became even angrier, pointing at his nose viciously. What's wrong, young master Sun? I can sell as much as I want. Sun Yu glanced at the slaves on the ground repeatedly, and Su Binger in front of him. Oh, I understand. Are you afraid of being her family? You really deserve to be a family. You look so good. Young master is not willing to do it today. Yu waved his hand. The 2 bodyguards beside him rushed towards Su Binger. Sun Yu looked at Su Binger with a smile, his eyes scanning her body without any concealment, and he didn't know what the pervert was thinking in his mind. However, things didn't develop as he had imagined. Su Binger angrily kicked one of the bodyguards in the stomach, then she picked up a throwing stick from nowhere and smashed it at the other party. Seeing that the other party was a weak woman, the 2 bodyguards were completely unprepared. One was kicked to the ground, groaning in pain, the other was lying on the ground with blood all over her face. Oh, I didn't see it, it's still a vicious dog. Sun Yu smiled instead of anger, I like to conquer a wolf like you. Give it to me, take her down. 7 or 8 bodyguards rushed forward. When they came up, some of them even took out daggers and machetes. However, Sun Yu's calculation was wrong. Don't say that Su Binger was once a foundation-building monk. The group of them who had followed Chu Yao until now had all grown up from the chaos of the dark streets, and everyone's hands were stained with the blood of their enemies. In terms of fighting and martial arts, how could these bodyguards who could bully others be Su Binger's opponent who had experienced bloody battles personally? It was true that the Cattail gang had become a company, but don't forget how they had made their fortunes. Su Binger easily dodged these people's attacks, sometimes punching, sometimes kicking, and within half a minute, the bodyguards were lying on the ground screaming. You! Damn it! Sun Yu's expression changed immediately when he saw that his opponent was so skilled in fighting. He reached out to grab her waist and pulled out a silver-white pistol. But his gun was not pointed at Su Binger, but at the slave he was leading. Don't come here. If you come here again, I will beat you to death. You bastard! Su Binger shouted softly. Huh? Are you scared now? Climb up here and kneel down to this young master 3 times, and this young master will spare your life. There were a few people who were watching the fun around, but when they saw someone drawing, the sound of gunfire immediately rang out. Hey! Why does this place seem more chaotic than a dark street? Sun Yu's ears were a little itchy, and he heard a faint sigh from the side of him. Then he found that his wrist seemed to be grabbed by someone. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 106 Gu Yu. Sun Yu turned his head to the side and saw a white arm stretched out from the side, tightly grasping his wrist. He looked at his arm and saw a woman in cold clothes looking at him helplessly. Since the other party didn't want to talk nicely, then don't blame yourself for using force. Hey, who are you, beautiful girl? Chu Yao shook his head. The child was desperate. She shook her wrist hard, and Sun Yu immediately howled in pain. Ah! It hurts so much. The young master of the Shenxi group didn't seem to be suffering much. Before Chu Yao could exert any force, he fell to the ground with his wrists clenched, and the pistol fell to the ground. Chu Yao walked to the side of the 2 slaves lying down. What are you doing? Don't come here. Do you know who my father is? Sun Yu crawled back with a look of fear. Chu Yao ignored him, first kicking the pistol onto the ground beside him, then reaching out to touch Gu Yu's face. But she seemed to have closed her heart, and when she felt Chu Yao's touch, her first reaction was to run away, squeezing the fire hydrant on the side of the road, trembling. Seeing Gu Yu become like this, Chu Yao's heart ached. She still remembered her name was Gu Yu. If Yao Hantian's Yin sect was considered a genius in the Foundation establishment era, then Gu Yu was a genius of the Jindan realm. Before she was 200 years old, she had already entered the late stage of Jindan, and she was on the same side as the 2 guardian elders in the gang. Among her peers, she was the one most likely to enter the nascent soul stage. If there was no such thing as Yalai company, Gu Yu should be the 5th nascent soul elder of the Tianyin sect in over 10 years. In Chu Yao's memory, Gu Yu was a slightly stubborn girl, similar to her personality, unyielding, and forward in everything. She was recognized by the disciples of the sect as an elder sister. The position of elder sister used to belong to Chu Yao, but later became hers. Therefore, Chu Yao never put on the air of an elder to her, and always called her little sister, because in Chu Yao's view, with her talent, it would take time before she could enter the nascent soul realm. But the arrogant person was now disheveled, wearing only rag-like clothes, and his bare skin was covered with all kinds of terrifying scars. She curled up on the street like a frightened kitten, avoiding Chu Yao's hand for a moment, her eyes dazed and dull between her hair. Junior sister! Junior sister Gu! Look at me! Chu Yao shouted anxiously, but she was afraid of scaring her, so she shyly retracted her outstretched hand. She looked around and saw that there was no one around, and no cameras, so she wiped her face with her hands, and it turned back to normal. Yu. This word seemed to have magical powers. Gu Yu stopped her resistance. Sometimes her eyes were solemn, and sometimes she was confused. Yu. Gu Yu called her name hoarsely, as if she hadn't heard anyone call her that for a long time. Chu Yao casually touched her head, and Gu Yu stopped resisting, and finally dared to look up. Their eyes met. Chu Yao grabbed her face and combed her hair on both sides, only to find that one of her eyes was blind. A vertical scar ran across Gu Yu's left eye. Who are you? I'm Chu Yao. Look at me, I'm your sister Chu. Chu Yao kept calling her, and finally, Gu Yu's only remaining eye had something changing. At first, there was a daze and a daze, followed by an incredible surprise and excitement, stunned by the pain and struggle. All these emotions mixed together made Gu Yu lose. Her hands trembled, and her body trembled. Ah! I'm dying. Sister! It's nice to finally meet you. Gu Yu thought Chu Yao was an illusion that was dying. She's not dead yet, and she doesn't have to die in the future. Sister is here. Chu Yao hugged her gently. I'm not dead yet. Sister, sister. Gu Yu finally returned to reality, crying loudly with her yearning sister. She vented all the pain she had experienced. It's okay, it's okay. Gu Yu cried for a long time. After a while, her voice became even hoarser. The hearts of those who heard it were broken, and the listeners felt moved. Sister, I miss you so much. I really miss you so much. I think I can't hold it in anymore. It's okay, it's okay. Chu Yao kept patting her on the back, repeating these words over and over. Then, Gu Yu cried so hard that she fell to the ground. Su Binger, who was standing at the side, wiped away her tears, held her in his arms with his quick hands and quick eyes. Take care of her. Chu Yao flicked his sleeve, wiped away the tears from the corner of his eyes, and walked towards Zhao Yu who was talking on the phone. Yes, I'm in Sunset Bay. Hurry up. What are you doing? Don't come here. Zhao Yu's face turned pale with shock, the woman's eyes seemed to want to eat him. Does anyone care about killing people in the third continent? Chu Yao asked Su Binger who was walking behind her. Yari company may mediate, but it's useless. The situation on the third continent is more complicated than in the dark streets. Oh. Chu Yao nodded and walked on. You, don't mess with me if you're angry. Zhao Yu was not mentally handicapped. He could see that these two people must have something to do with the slave he bought. I bought her for only 2 months. Her eyes are not mine. The wounds on my body were not caused by me. If you want revenge, go to Dong Bolet, go to the auction, don't look for me. Chu Yao stepped on her left leg lightly and fell to the ground. The dagger flew up and landed on her palm with a flutter of wings. Do you know who I am? My father is Sun Longtang, the chairman of Shenxi Group. This slave, I don't want it anymore. I'll give it to you. I'll pay you 5 or 10 times the price. Zhao Yu said incoherently. He screamed. He was crying. His legs kicked the ground helplessly, and a strange smell wafted into Chu Yao's nose. He was afraid to pee. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Chu Yao tilted her head, a cold smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. But you dare to let my little sister crawl on the ground. Then you will taste what it is like to be a dog. Chu Yao crouched down, and a cold dagger was stuck on Zhao Yu's ankle. Then she found a suitable position and poked hard. The people who were still watching the drama from afar felt a little anxious. The screams were much louder than the cries just now, and those who didn't know thought that they were killing pigs on the street. Fuck. With the knife just now, Chu Yao broke the tendons on his right foot. Aren't you the son of a noble of Shenxi Group? It's just an Achilles tendon. Can't you stand the pain? Zhao Yu couldn't answer Chu Yao's question. His eyes were dark and his mouth was foaming. Chu Yao broke his left foot again. He stood on the ground a few times like a fish out of water, and then stopped moving. It's not as good as Ding Nan. Chu Yao muttered, then took out a medicine box from his storage bag. Take a few pills and stuff them into your mouth and slap your face. Wake up, there are still 2 tendons. Mobile phone users, please go to WAP.org to read. Palmistry is more convenient. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 107 Arrival. The effect of this longevity medicine is not healing, but refreshing. Chu Yao's slap made Sun Yu more conscious. But as soon as he woke up, he howled again like a slaughtered pig. Chu Yao broke his tendons mercilessly. Don't be so arrogant when you go out in the future. Chu Yao slapped his head with the back of the knife, and turned to Su Binger and the others. I really had the idea of killing just now, but for the benefit of the Mao Yi company at the moment, it is better not to separate myself from the Shenxi Group. Wait until the new Ye princess, and then find out the origin of the Shenxi Group. Chu Yao waved his right hand, a silver light flashed, and the chains around the necks of the 2 slaves were loosened. Take her with you, poor thing. She turned to another woman and said. Now that she was saved, there was no problem in letting her stay here, just take her out together. Chu Yao and Su Binger supported each other and walked to a red sports car not far away. The other woman also had a blank face, showing resistance. She didn't know what they had been through. She might have seen Chu Yao as a new buyer. Hi. Chu Yao paused, and suddenly felt that someone was looking at her. Her consciousness was released, and she swept across a radius of 100 meters. It wasn't that nephew's friend. This feeling of staring was very strange. However, she searched around, but could not find the source of the line of sight, so she had to temporarily put it aside. Several people got into the car. The back seat was very spacious. Chu Yao sat side by side with two women. Su Binger started the sports car, drove to an empty parking lot, and then pressed a few keys on the car's computer. Chu Yao felt that the car seemed to shake, and then her whole body floated off the ground, floating vertically towards the high-flying track. If Chu Yao had calmed down and observed at this time, he would find that all four tires had turned inward and retracted, and a small metallic cylinder protruded from the center of the wheel hub, shooting blue toward the ground like a rocket, the light like a torch. The feeling of flying an airplane was very strange. The jaws of the house flashed out the car window, but what happened just now made her not in the mood to look at the scenery. Chu Yao took out food and water from the storage bag and handed it to the two. Gu Yu and the woman ate greedily, looking hungry for a long time. "Eat slowly, don't choke," Chu Yao said with a smile, while brushing Gu Yu's hair while eating. She also used the water condensation technique to clean the dirt on her body. She always had two attitudes towards enemies and friends. Not to mention that Gu Yu was also a fellow student of the Tianyin sect and her own younger sister. Chu Yao clearly distinguished this point. He Gu Yu swallowed 2 pieces of cream cake, drank another bottle of mineral water, and panted heavily. "Is that enough? I still have some." Chu Yao pulled out a fish curtain and a ham sausage from the storage bag as if under a spell. These were the snacks she had stored on the boat. And there were only a few left. Just as Gu Yu was about to speak, she seemed to suddenly think of something. "Sister, hurry up, help someone. Take it easy, speak slowly, help who and where to help." Chu Yao raised her eyebrows. Gu Yu was not this kind of person before, but she knew that she should not be so harsh with her. She had experienced so much that it was unimaginable. Chu Yao waited for Gu Yu to breathe quietly, then listened to her words. "There were so many people who were with me before, there were wind protection equipment." Chu Yao learned from Gu Yu's incoherent words that she might have experienced. After she and dozens of disciples of the Tianyin sect were assigned to the third continent by the Yalai company, they also worked hard at the resource points, but they were all sold to the local leaders, sold to the auction house, and lived like pigs, a life worse than dogs. This kind of life was fine, at least everyone was together and could help each other, but the situation changed because of the visit of a strange guest. This strange customer not only bought slaves in batches, but also specially selected the long-lived breed. Everyone in the Tianyin sect was bought by him one by one. Gu Yu escaped the fate because he was reserved in advance. A disaster. "Do you remember his name? I overheard their conversation. The people in the store seemed to call him Professor Lei, and I also heard Gon's association." Chu Yao said. From the information obtained earlier, the Kansas Association seemed to be a scientific research institution with close ties with several universities in the third continent. Shenxi Group, Underground Auction, Gon's Association. The beginning must have something to do with these three forces. Chu Yao rubbed her temples. "I thought I came to the third continent to live a comfortable life. I'm busy now. I understand. Leave this matter to Chu Yao." Chu Yao patted Gu Yu on the shoulder. She didn't care about others, but if everyone in the Tianyin sect had a problem, she would definitely go and help them. As Princess Ye find out where this Professor Lei came from. Su Binger was driving a sports car on the flight path, and they had just crossed a winding river. Sunset Bay was located at the westernmost point of the third continent, and what they were going to now was the new capital located in the southern part of the mainland. The terrain of the third continent was high in the east and low in the west. In the center was the Liberty City, which was famous throughout Ling Yuan Star. The large urban area to the south of Liberty City was the new capital. Compared to Tianhai City, the buildings here were more compact and dense, with more than a dozen stories of buildings. The sports car drove through the flight path around the tall buildings like a bird flying in an iron forest. After walking for about half an hour, the sports car got off the flight track and landed in a parking lot for racing cars. Then, it drove along the normal road for a while, and a familiar sign caught Chu Yao's eyes, "Princess Ye." Chu Yao pushed the door open. As soon as she got out of the car, a welcoming voice came from Princess Ye's door. "Welcome, welcome, warm welcome." It was Su Huohuo, and she brought a few girls with her, holding colorful balls in her hands, dancing like a cheerleader. Don't rush to welcome, come help. Xiao Hua was an old acquaintance, and Chu Yao didn't show her any courtesy, and directly called everyone to help. Gu Yu, who was covered in bruises, shocked everyone, and Chen Qingye was also there. He immediately recognized the Tianyin sect's sister, and was shocked, and quickly arranged for her to stay and a doctor. After Gu Yu and the others sat down, Chu Yao there was also time to look at Princess Ye's appearance. Fortunately, the decoration was still the style of the previous dark street, no different from before, and the structure was the same, except that it was changed from 3 floors to 6 floors, and an elevator was added. Princess Ye is really in the back, and the front is the Mao Yi company. The two can be connected inside. Chu Yao nodded in satisfaction. In fact, with the current size of the Mao Yi company, there was no need to open a nightclub and other places. But this was not just her opinion, but everyone's opinion. Princess Ye was like their home. No matter where they went in the future, Princess Ye would drive there. A familiar face appeared in front of them. Chu Yao greeted them, and seeing everyone was fine was good news. However, there were people who were not there. According to Qing Yu, Zhang Lu and Li Dayan went to the second continent under his management to search for other members of the Tianyin sect. Huh? Did you search all over the first continent? Chu Yao also remembered this. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 108 New Home. Alright, I can only say that we found everything we could find. Chen Xingye sighed. But in the end, we found less than 200 people. 187 people. Counting the 40 people before, there are now more than 200 members of the Tianyin sect in the company. I hope Dayan and the others can get something. Chu Yao nodded. Finding someone was not easy. She also knew now that the Yalai company was not looking for people like them, but for all kinds of resources in Feng Yuan Star. Monks were caught along the way, high-level monks were used as fuel, low-level monks were used as slave labor, and those who were not dead were thrown to various places that needed manpower on Ling Yuan Star. They didn't care which sect these psychologists were from, and they still kindly classified them for you, just threw them away like trash. Therefore, it was possible that the disciples of the Tianyin sect were scattered everywhere on Ling Yuan Star. There might be a few more. And it is not necessary that they were taken to another planet by the Yari company's spaceship. Those who were found and rescued by Chu Yao were all lucky. Then Chu Yao said to Qing Yu what Gu Yu had just said. Underground auction house. We haven't been to Xindu for a long time, and the forces on the surface are still quite familiar. This kind of underground force is really unclear. I'll let the cat-eyed people take a look. Mao Yi. Although the gang had moved towards transformation, some of the internal structures of the gang were still there. Mao Yitang and Mao Atang became the Mao Yi Security Service Company, and Mao Yitang, which was responsible for the aftermath and treatment of the injured, became a subsidiary organization and belonged to the Mao Yi group. However, Mao Yitang still existed. During this year, King Ye had also secretly developed the power of Mao Yitang on the third continent, making it another type of underground power that existed in all walks of life as the company's eyeliner. In every industry. Alright, leave this to me first. However, I have nothing else to do now. How many people can the Tianyin sect save from the Tianyin sect? Chu Yao followed Chen Qingye around Princess Ye, familiarizing himself with the ground while chatting with him. However, I still know about the Kens Association. Their headquarters are in Xindu. It is a scientific research institute, and its members include technology enthusiasts, students, and professors from many universities. This association is very famous in Xindu, and the criteria are also quite high. Which was similar to what Chu Yao knew before. Alright, however, what kind of company is Shenxi Group? Is it very powerful? Why are you asking this all of a sudden? I grabbed the Achilles tendon of their president's son. Chen Qingye had a hesitant look on his face, and in the end, it couldn't help but turn into a sly smile. Forget it. It's okay to be angry. Shenxi Group is not a star hunter like Steel Dome Company. To be honest, it's just a local real estate company in Ling Yuan planet. Forget it, it's just muscle selection. They didn't kill anyone anyway. Chen Qingye had been following Chu Yao for a long time, and his nerves had calmed down. However, there was no business relationship between them and Shenxi Group at the moment. It's not that I want to be displeased, in fact, your uncle asked you to learn how to crawl like a dog, can you do that? Meow, meow. They turned around and went back to the third floor, and arrived at an empty room that Chu Yao was still familiar with. Her room was on the third floor before. With Chu Yao's hand tapping the back of her head, all kinds of furniture flew out of the storage bag, and the empty room instantly became full of life. She didn't bring any plants with her. They wouldn't survive in the storage bag. Chen Qingye's eyes showed envy. He had also practiced the soul healing formula, but it was useless. Chu Yao pushed the window open, saw the green forest, and heard the sound of children playing in the distance. I have to say that Qingye chose a good location. Although the front of the building faced the street, the back was a park. The park wasn't big, but it was a rare natural scenery in this new capital filled with high-rise buildings. Yes, not bad. So far, except for the disappointed Sun Yu, everything else had left Chu Yao very satisfied. How is the company's development? There haven't been any problems recently, right? It's going well, and it will probably take some time before it can be launched in the third continent. Speaking of this, Chen Qingye came back to his senses. Especially Xingnao pill and Qingwei pill, and also Xiashu lozenge, these types of pills sell very well. Using scientific and technological methods to mass-produce Tianfang pill, this method is our first, and many companies are very interested in us. It can be said to be a piece of the blue ocean. The longevity pill in Chen Qingye's mouth was modified according to the recipe Chu Yao gave, but it had a more catchy name. Is this the first time? I think there must be a precedent. This was slightly beyond Chu Yao's expectations. She thought that others had tried something similar before. There have been precedents before, but no one has succeeded. The key should be in the recipe. However, speaking of this, Liberty City's annual Autumn Chamber of Commerce will be held in a month, and you may need to visit Sister Chu. Qiao Yao blinked. Do I have to go? After all, you are the president of the company. But don't worry, Xiao Ran and I will go with you when the time comes and leave the business to us, just show your face. Okay, I will. Chu Yao and Chen Qingye. While talking, they went back to the hall. In order to clean up Chu Yao, Chen Qingye had asked the chef to make a particularly luxurious meal. Steamed crabs in scallion oil, greasy shrimps, cold jellyfish, spicy stir-fried chicken. Most of them were seafood. Delicious dishes were placed on the table, which made people's index fingers move. With Chu Yao's current cultivation, she could not eat any more, but she could not suppress her hunger, so she called Su Binger and Xiao Huo to have a meal together. Call Yu Yu and the others to have a good meal together. Su Binger brought Gu Yu and the others out. Gu Yu had washed up and changed into clean clothes. Although the scars on her body looked scary, at least she looked human. She was still a little cautious and couldn't believe it, everything in front of her felt like a dream. Under Chu Yao's comfort, Gu Yu finally picked up her chopsticks and picked up a piece of chicken, feeling the spicy taste melting in her mouth. There were tears in her eyes that couldn't stop rolling. Don't cry. Eat quickly. Sister Chu, what are you doing? Don't be so cruel to Sister Gu. Su Binger hugged Gu Yu like an old hen protecting her chicks. It's violent. I've cried all over the place. When you fought the crazy bear, you had so many wounds on your stomach. I've never seen you cry like this before. Are you hurt? This. You, little girl, have you grown up? She's learned to talk back. How to make Gu Yu return to normal. Chu Yao had his own way. Su Huo and the few girls beside were eating with normal faces. Even if they didn't understand what Sister Chu was saying, they were used to it because she would often say something that was hard to understand and most people couldn't follow. She was on her brain circuit. People like Su Huo, who was very familiar with Chu Yao, could vaguely see that some of the people in the gang seemed to be from the same city as Sister Chu, and there were some secrets that couldn't be told between them. But it didn't matter who didn't have secrets. Moreover, Sister Chu treated everyone equally, and her citizens didn't do anything to form a clique, and everyone got along well. If there was no unity, there would be no cattail gang and no cattail company today. What delicious food do you have? Gong Xiaoran's voice appeared at the door. She was wearing a grey 3/4-sleeved suit, and she held a small bag in one hand, looking like a high-class person at work. She looked like she had just come back from a busy day. Her makeup was stained with sweat that was dripping down her brows. Hey, is Sister Chu back? Why didn't anyone tell me? Gong Xiaoran had a surprised look on her face and found a chair to hand out his coat and bag. Chu Yao's eyes lit up when he saw her. She put the half-eaten chicken leg into the bowl and softly said, "Recovered." But only partially recovered. Gong Xiaoran smiled at Chu Yao. Chu Yao's spiritual consciousness was circulating around her, and from the fluctuations in her spiritual power, she knew that Gong Xiaoran's current cultivation should be at the 5th level of qi refining. This was really good news. This proved that the formula of the spirit of helping had miraculous effects. With her example, it also paved the way for others to recover their cultivation. And with Gong Xiaoran's protection, Chu Yao didn't need to stay with Princess Ye in the same time slot as before, giving her more time to deal with other things. When you Chen King Yu, Wu Yu Gong Xiaoran, now I can travel with peace of mind. Ah, no, I went to practice. After a while, Zhang Erwen came back from outside, and the table became much livelier. Everyone sat together, discussing Xindu's trivia and the company's latest situation in 2 sentences. What, Sister Chu, what are you going to do? Drill the Death Association? It's very close to us, just 2 streets away. I'll take you there later. Su Huahua, who was full of food, leaned over in her chair and started to lie down. I burped. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 109 Parade. Just 2 streets. Chu Yao didn't have time to study the map of Xindu and the 3rd continent. That's right, and every day there would be a group of people beating gongs and drums there. It's so lively. What nonsense are you talking about? Chu Yao turned his attention to the most reliable Chen Xingyu. Chen Xingye put down the glass in his hand and said, "Rare, it's not far. You can go there after eating. Just walk. As for the drums and gongs that Xiao Hua mentioned, you will know that you go and see." Okay, then I'll take a look. Chu Yao shrugged. Chu Yao was Princess Ye who arrived at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. After everyone finished eating, it was almost 3. After dinner, some people rested, some went to work, leaving Xiao Hua and Chu Yao to talk to each other to go out. Mr. Chu, look, there is a parking lot for racing cars. This is a multi-purpose vending machine with wireless Wi-Fi inside. It not only buys things, but also charges money. This is an automatic cleaning robot. Oh, it seems that there is one in Tianhai City. Su Hua jumped up and down, introducing all kinds of new things in Xindu on the street with Chu Yao. It might be because there are many interstellar companies stationed here. And the level of technology was much higher than the rest of the Ling Yuan planet, which could be seen from the infrastructure. Chu Yao saw many new things that she had never seen before. Fortunately, with Su Huohuo by her side, she was able to quickly get used to these new things. She even saw cyborgs. In a short while, 3 or 4 people who had undergone obvious body transformations passed by their side. Some of these people had mechanical arms, some had 2 mechanical legs, and some had half-headed artifacts and blue or red artificial eyes. Brother Chu, are you interested in them? There are many companies in Xindu that provide body modification technology. I don't want to change. It's too scary. Not interested in. Special Chu Yao just thought about Gu Yu's eyes. Maybe it could be restored by this technique. Asking her opinion back. They walked on the sidewalk. There was heavy traffic on the roads and train tracks. Robots that looked like washing machines walked along a designated path among the pedestrians. Some were cleaning the floor, some were trimming flowers and trees. Electronic screens and billboards hung multi-story high, highlighting the prosperity of the new capital. Everything looks especially brand new. Compared to Tianhai, this place seems to show the modern civilization of heaven and man. But the sky is always grey. I don't know if it's because there are too many factories, but the air is not clean. As far as Tianhai City. Chu Yao felt that she had not gone far when Xiao Hua beside her stopped her in her tracks. We're here. They arrived at a small 5-story building. Compared to the background of many tall buildings in Zindu, the 5th floor was very small. The building looked ordinary, no different from an ordinary office building. On the left side of the main entrance, there was a vertical copper plate engraved with the words GON's Emerging Science and Technology Research Association. Chu Yao finally knew what Xiao Hua was talking about, beating gongs and drums. At the gate of the association, many people had gathered. They were of different ages, and they seemed to be citizens of Zindu at this time. Some were holding signs, some were holding banners, shouting slogans in unison: "Stop technological research! Take back my green spirit source! Refuse to pollute the environment and protect nature!" Chu Yao's expression was strange, turning into a group of protesters. She had seen news about the parades of many environmental protection organizations on the internet before. But this was the first time she had seen a parade in reality. "Lady, come and see," the grey-haired old woman held a pamphlet in her hand and unintentionally stuffed it into Chu Yao's hand. "We often suffer from various diseases because of these evils. The pollution caused by the companies and scientists has angered the great god of Ling Yuan, so he has punished us." "What the hell?" Chu Yao waved her hand at the old woman in a bad mood. She originally thought that these people had good intentions, so why were there still people preaching? Chu Yao turned to look at the slogans on the signs, some of which read "Everyone has a duty to protect the environment," some of which read "Believe in the spirit and God, obtain eternal life," and some of which read "Science and technology are the root of evil." It seemed that these people were not just one group, but were organized by various organizations, all with the same goal. If they really wanted to stop pollution, shouldn't they have demonstrated at Yalai Company or Steel Dome? "Sister Chu, how dare they?" Su Hua leaned into Chu Yao's ear. "These people are seeing that the Kansas Association is a young persimmon, that's why they dare to cause trouble. Those real interstellar companies have their own armed forces, and these people are smart." "So it was." Chu Yao nodded, ignoring the angry crowd, and turned her gaze to the tightly closed door of the GON's Association. There were 2 security guards standing at the door. Perhaps because they were used to these things, they didn't look afraid at all. They were smoking and chatting at the door. "It's here, but how can they get in?" From Gu Yu's words, Chu Yao now had 2 clues to find. One was the GON's Association, and the other was the auction that Zhao Yu had mentioned. She didn't have any news about the auction at the moment, so she could only start with this Scientific Research Association. Chu Yao saw a man in formal wear come out of the crowd, show his card to the security guard, push the door open, and walk in. She remembered what Chen Qingye had said. It seemed that this association was a membership system, and it wasn't easy to join. A large number of people had gathered at the door, and people came to Chu Yao and the 2 to announce their ideas. In order to avoid the crowd, the 2 came to a nearby coffee shop. And looking from the distant window. When will they stop shouting? Chu Yao felt helpless. Usually 8 to 11 o'clock, lunch break, and 14:00-18:00. Su Hua was sprinkling sugar into his coffee. "Why are you so obvious?" Chu Yao wondered if the child was too liberal and princess yet. "Of course, I know. If you have money, you can have it." "What?" "I used to ask for 100 yuan a day, but I was bored and too boring, so I stopped. After that, put a little sugar on the fire, and then started to add milk." Chu Yao was a little speechless. It turned out that the purpose of this group of people was not so simple. There may be those who sincerely support environmental protection, but more and more people or organizations just want to serve their own interests. 100 days, it's quite a lot. Chu Yao didn't know what to say. At least the income is more than working in a restaurant before. "Brother Chu, where do you want to go next time? There is a large shopping mall in the west, which has everything. Stay in there, we can go and choose clothes." "Impossible, let's go shopping." Chu Yao took a spoonful of cake and put it in her mouth. Looking at the door of the GON's Association, she already had a calculation in her mind. "I became popular in StarCraft." Chapter 110 Waiting for the Rabbit. The 2 walked around the mall in the afternoon. Su Huohuo took a big bag and a small bag and went back to find Princess Ye first, leaving Chu Yao near the association. At around 6 o'clock in the evening, the people who had gathered dispersed, and the door was empty. Hey, these people are gone. It's not easy to be exposed to the wind and sun every day. The two security guards at the door talked. However, it's okay for them not to come in. Just make trouble if you want. Is it time to change shifts? Soon. Xiao Zhangfeixin told me that they will be coming soon. Hearing their words, I knew. My chance had come. Sure enough, it didn't take long for two people to replace them and continue to stand guard. Chu Yao pretended to walk past and slowly walked to the right side of the Caners Association building. Then, with a thought, she changed into one of the previous two security guards. Even her clothes were exactly the same. She didn't go through the main entrance, and used the wall drilling technique directly to reach the corridor on the first floor. Chu Yao's idea was simple, first find it and try it. I learned from Gu Yu earlier that Professor Lei, who specialized in purchasing slaves, had a very special appearance. He had a big head, little hair, his eyes protruded, and only one eye on the bridge of his nose. He could tell at a glance. It's best to find someone directly. Maybe he just wanted to buy it. Chu Yao didn't need to conflict with the entire association. Now that he had provoked the Shenxi group, it would be better to be careful in this third continent. Chu Yao pretended to be a security guard, patrolling, looking from room to room, and walking around the building like this, but didn't see anyone with a big head. There weren't many people in the building, and many rooms were empty. Chu Yao walked past the wall and saw no one. Xiaoli, are you off work yet? A middle-aged man in a white coat walked over to greet Chu Yao. Chu Yao turned to look at her and decided to ask. I was going to have dinner, but a man came downstairs just now and said he wanted to see Professor Lei. Do you know where he is? Professor Lei. The man raised his eyebrows, slightly puzzled. It seems that there is no one with the surname Lei in our association. Ah? I may have heard wrongly. Chu Yao was taken aback, but her expression was as usual and there was no flaw. Do you want to use soul search? Forget it, the side effects of soul searching technique are too obvious. This building is full of cameras, it is easy to be exposed. You heard right, there is no one with the surname Lei. That man said his name. No, he said he was looking for Professor Lei when he came up, and he pointed it out to me. The head said it was Principal Lei who had a head. Big head. The man laughed after listening. Does he mean Lian Jining? Lian Jining? Chu Yao's eyes lit up. Yes, he's a well-known big head in the association. But don't say that in front of these Lians. He has a weird temper. Lian Jining, Lei Ji Ning, it turned out that this person used a pseudonym when he went to the auction house. Old Lian seemed to have retired a few months ago, right? He likes to relax a lot, and sometimes he doesn't come here a few times a week. You just came here, so it's no wonder you don't know him. Then when will Professor Lian come? I don't know either. He's been acting mysterious recently, not talking to anyone much, and he's doing something. Should I call him for you? Don't bother me, Professor Cheng. Chu Yao scanned the ID card in the pocket of the sensible man. Since the professor is coming, I'll wait for him. That guy just hung up. Don't scare the snake. Good, I still have a few more student documents to approve, so I won't talk to you for now. Okay, Professor Cheng, take it slow. This Professor Cheng is quite easy to talk to. It seems that these researchers are not monsters or ghosts. First impression of Chu Yao to Kansas Association is not bad, except for Lian Jining, the slave buyer under the pseudonym. She came to the corner where she had just used the wall-breaking technique, and went back outside to ponder. Since this person often came, I might as well sit on the sidelines and wait for the rabbit to find out the truth about him. Chu Yao had already made up her mind, and immediately sent a flying letter to Xiao Hua and the others, saying that she would not go back. Princess Ye today did not want her to sit in the time tube city, and she did not have to worry about any accidents. Chu Yao took 2 steps out of 3 steps, smoke came out of his feet, and shot up to the roof, leaving an after-image in midair. She chose a place that was not difficult to find, waved her hand like the wind, dusted off, and sat down. Chu Yao took out a bottle of medicine from her storage bag, and poured out a dark red pill. This was a demonic medicine, and Chu Yao named it the fire spider pill. It could not be said to be a demonic medicine, it should be a medicine made by borrowing demonic energy. This was Chu Yao's idea when he was retreating to the Baishan mine. She had failed repeatedly in alchemy, and later thought that she might be able to use the monster energy released from the large formation to help 1 or 2 people, but she didn't expect to succeed. It must be said that the Baishan mine was Chu Yao's treasured territory. Her cultivation could be restored, and the mine had made great contributions. According to common sense, this kind of elixir containing demonic energy would contain many impurities and toxins, which would harm a monk after ingesting it. But don't forget that she was Chu Yao, so she naturally had a way to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages. Waiting was also waiting. It was better to cultivate while waiting for others. There was a high chance that I wouldn't return to Tianhai City in the future, so she refined a large number of fire spider pills in advance, enough for her to cultivate to the late foundation establishment stage. As for the method to return to the golden core stage, we'll talk about it later. Chu Yao put all kinds of medicinal pills into her mouth, closed her eyes slightly, made a formula in her hand, and began to accumulate and cultivate. She thought that she would have to wait for another 3 to 5 days, but she didn't expect the rabbit to come so soon. The night was getting darker, and at around 10 p.m., a white car stopped at the gate of the Kens Association. Chu Yao crouched down, and from a distance, he saw a big-headed person push the car door open and get out. She paid her work carefully and wanted to laugh. Junior brother Gu really didn't lie, this head is really big. Professor Lian Jinning's head was 2 circles larger than an ordinary person, and his forehead protruded forward. He wore 2 pairs of glasses and protruded like a goldfish, just like an old fairy in a New Year's painting. But before she could laugh, she realized that he had actually looked up and was looking at the roof. Hi! The watchful Chu Yao quickly took a few steps back, but his consciousness was still held, and he kept a distance from Lian Jinning, circling around him like an invisible wind. He found me? How did you know? Then Chu Yao saw Lian Jinning glance at her lightly, and then she looked away, as if she didn't notice that someone was peeping. Chu Yao didn't dare to be careless, and did not dare to take a deep breath, but carefully observed him through his spiritual consciousness. Under this observation, many clues were discovered. It was obviously summer, but he was wearing a thick windbreaker and gloves on his hands, covering his whole body except for his head. And I don't know if he had gained a little weight, or if something was stuffed into his clothes. Chu Yao's consciousness followed him up to the 3rd floor. Hey, Lao Lian, did you come to the association to find information again? Professor Cheng had not left yet. He had spent the whole night reviewing his thesis in the room with a gloomy face. When he came out to breathe, he had accidentally met Lian Jinning, right? Yes, Lian Jinning replied sullenly. He seemed to be a real freak. My student, it's really worrying. Look, everything written here, the copied information may be wrong. Professor Cheng shook the pile of papers in his hand. He still replied like this, and walked to the innermost reference room on the 3rd floor with a dizzy head. Professor Cheng seemed to be used to him like this, and he was not angry. He shook his head and was about to return to the room when he suddenly remembered something. Anyway, it seems that someone is looking for you today, but you are not here. Looking for me, who? Although Jining didn't speak again, Chu Yao must have thought he was mute. But as she spoke, Chu Yao's eyes narrowed, and she suddenly felt nervous. There was a spiritual fluctuation in his body.